Thanks for tuning in to the World XP podcast. If you're enjoying the content, please drop us up, drop a like, and let us know your thoughts below in the comments. Also, please consider supporting our podcast via the link below. It really helps us out.
Chris, welcome back, man. Thanks for the late notice. As always, this is always feels like the situation when I need an episode. I text either you or sometimes Zane or Jason, but usually you.
That's how you earn the regular title, man. Happy to be here.
So, for those listening, we are recording this on a day in which Mark Zuckerberg, the world has found out that he is jacked and that exercising makes you a far-right extremist. And so that makes Mark Zuckerberg the face of white supremacy, which is a very interesting turn of events, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I don't think my 2023 bingo card had that on it.
No, I don't think so either. And this is within the first 1 minute of this, so that'll be a good way to get both of us fired or canceled in some way, shape. Nah, but so it was actually not. So did you read? You sent me both the articles. Did you read both of them?
I did, actually.
So for those listening, there was one MSNBC article, and then there was one Time, one from like a year or two ago. But the MSNBC one that came out like 2 or 3 days ago. Let's see, what was the date that it came out? Continue without supporting this time. Absolutely, I'm not supporting you.
I think it was a repost.
It was March of last year. Yeah, it was a repost. So I don't remember how it ended up getting reposted, but I know Rogan ended up reposting it and then something else. But
yeah, it made its way around Twitter.
I don't understand this lady that wrote it. I don't understand. Well, yeah, I just don't understand.
So which article though? Because it's actually an interesting story of
the MSNBC one.
Yeah, so that one is clearly a follower-on article from the Time one. So the Time one was from December of
21,
I think.
21.
But the funny one about the Time one is the title was something like something
Ready?
about
Ready?
You got it.
The white supremacist origins of exercise and 6 other surprising facts about the history of U.S. physical fitness.
Yes, that's the one, right? So that one's from Time. And the funny thing is, I dug into this a little bit because I was curious as to what argument you could even come up with. So the Time article, if you read it, it's a little bit a scenario where it feels like the headline editor wanted people to click on it, and then the actual interviewee makes one passing comment in the whole thing, right? So the interviewer is, or the interviewee is she was an associate professor of history at Harvard, right? And she does do some, I was curious, so I was digging into this. She does do some gender focused history stuff, but I wouldn't say that was the kind of all of her work, kind of from a cursory glance of her faculty webpage. And the funny thing was, she was in the interview, she was just talking about sort of the history of the fitness movement, right? So she starts on being obese used to be a sign of affluence, and then she goes on to look at all these different things that didn't work, and that there was a fad about men working out and women not working out because women were fragile. And then where this title came from was she notes somewhere in the middle that there was a shift that women needed to work out. And so she wrote a thing where she was like, oh, look, it's like a flash of, a progressive idea that's popped up in the 1920s. And then she finishes the sentence because the rest of the thought was women need to work out so that they can be hardy and raise more white babies.
Yep.
It was like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, I'm reading it now.
Whoa. How did we get here? But it clearly wasn't the focus of her article, right?
No.
She's just doing a history, right?
Yeah.
And then the MSNBC article comes out, right? A couple months later, and it's taken this kind of weird passing comment and made a whole thing of it. Right? right? Like I was like, you took the primary academic source and like made a whole circus out of like, I don't know, one throwaway line.
Yeah, like in the second sentence, or like early in the article when they're talking about Mein Kampf, it's like, what do you like? I don't get it. And so some of the stuff they're talking about MMA, but MMA is not that MMA is any of those things, but like fitness is more than just MMA, which
Yeah.
they basically this is not even if you read the whole article, it's not even a fitness article. It's an article about dudes, like about men being masculine, essentially is what it is,
Yeah.
and that's not good.
And that's not okay.
Yeah,
Well, it's funny too, because even their even their angle on the Hitler side of things is like it could be boiled down to like, you know who else had a house? Hitler.
yeah,
So
pretty much. It's like
houses. That's
Hitler fixated on boxing and jiu-jitsu. You know who else fixated on boxing? Muhammad Ali. Like pick one. I don't know.
yeah.
It's
Well,
just
and I'm like, yes, the guy planned to take over the whole world. I would assume that like martial arts was on his list. It's
yeah,
like, I'm
yeah.
sure there were other things on there too. Probably negotiating. That was probably on there in some format. Dealing with other political,
Nah,
entities.
don't say that because Trump also negotiates, and that comparison has already been beaten to death. Um,
Fair.
interesting. Yeah, I don't. So this is the only subject that I've prided myself on not getting into Facebook arguments. This is the only subject like fitness and this thing from people on the left who love to say fitness is either like racist or that it's body shaming or any of these things. The just the amount of science that exists, like
Yeah.
you people, right? Nobody's saying that you have to be shredded like Mark Zuckerberg, but it is without doubt being like working out and exercising, even if you're just going on walks and trying to eat relatively healthy, is just better for you than not. And that is just it. There's no debating that. There's no debating that. You ask anyone that
No.
has done any sort of study, and the other thing that's wild to me is I think Dr. Peter Hotez was the guy that was saying that he was on Rogan saying that people should take the vaccines, and then Rogan was like, "Do you take vitamins or like take care of yourself fitness wise?" And he was like, "No." And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so why do we have? So then I was asking, oh, who did I have on recently? This is gonna bug me. I had somebody on recently, Davis, who got his PhD in physical therapy, and I asked him because it was like pre-med. I was like, how
Yeah,
much
sure.
nutrition? I was like, how much nutrition do you guys do? And they're like, not that. He's like, not that much. I was
Yeah.
like, well, why? I was like, don't. There's so many. I'm hearing so many stories, and a lot of them are anecdotes, but I'm hearing so many anecdotes about, oh, I cut out insert thing here out of my diet, and all of a sudden my knee pain went away because the
Yeah.
inflammation went down on the body. So much of the pain that people are feeling in their bodies caused by inflammation, which is caused by poor diets
Yep.
and or biomechanics, which is people don't teach you how to run and walk when you're a kid.
Yep.
I mean, sure. Like, I'm not saying everybody's got to go take running class when they're 3, but if you have poor mechanics and you eat a poor diet, it's not going to go well. Like I've seen people who are overweight walk with their feet out like this, and even if you're skinny and you walk with your feet out like that, you're going to end up with problems in ankle and hip joints later, anyways.
hmm
Even if you could be fit and walk like that, and you will still have problems. So it's diet, but also biomechanics. Both of those things, you fix those things, or even just make them better. 99% of the problem will go away, and then you don't need to take a drug that is spelled like I just mashed my hand on the keyboard and nobody can pronounce it. But here we are, I think we're probably are we the most medicated society in the Western world? I would put money on that probably.
Yes, probably, yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're the fattest.
Yeah.
Go figure. Go for a walk.
Do you think this was I'm curious, like in the context of school, right? We have PE, which is physical education.
Mm-hmm.
But at least for me, that basically just boiled down to playing random sports and dodgeball.
Yeah,
But
for me
I
too.
don't think we really, I mean, at some point we had health class, which was like sex ed, right? But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I don't think we had any other education in terms of, like you said, nutrition, diet, biomechanics.
Oh, well, the food pyramid was out then, which was
Oh yeah,
a
true.
total lie. So they taught us about the food pyramid, but it was a total lie. So they did teach us, they just taught us wrong.
Yeah.
Which is the other thing about just when people say to trust the experts. It's like I heard somebody who practices law saying trust the experts is the dumbest thing that you can possibly say, because when I'm trying a case, I have experts that are arguing my side, and then the other side has experts arguing their side.
Yeah.
So what experts do you want to trust exactly here?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's always the question, right? There's another great there's a Richard Feynman quote, who was a Nobel Prize winner in physics.
Mm-hmm.
And he was quoted as saying science is the belief in the ignorance of experts. Right, it's the idea that they didn't know. That's why I'm going and digging around over here.
Yeah, no, he's 100% accurate. You have to ask all these questions. And I've said this so many times on the pod recently, but I feel like we're in an era of transition for so many things, and health is another one of them. There's a lot of people who are healthier than any human beings ever in history before, due to and the top level athletes are more athletic and stronger and faster than anyone in human history before, because of the nutrition science and you see a professional soccer player come off the field with their specific little bottle, and that bottle has the specific amount of electrolytes needed because due to blood testing that they do for that player. It's not just here's a Gatorade. It's what is the optimal level of performance for you individually, because everyone is different. And I've got this thing sitting here that I've been fiddling around with. This is GPS tracker. You can just get one. I have one, but every single team has them now, and they track heart rates and they track the amount of the load that's on the body. And so the amount of science available now from a health perspective. So people talk about the gap between the rich and the poor widening, but also the gap between the healthy and the unhealthy, I think, is also very much widening, because if you want to sit there and do nothing and eat pizzas all day, you can do that, because you can work from home and you don't have to move at all.
Yeah.
You can get Amazon, DoorDash, everything can just come right to your door. You don't have to move at all. Yeah. So the ability that it makes it hard if you're not driven or disciplined or any of these things. It makes it very easy to just fuck off and not do anything for a while, and it's very easy to fall into that slump, and that spiral. So I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, it also seems like there's a weird push to enable it too. Right? We just seem to be in a weird spot I feel like as a society where we're not allowed to push back on anything that could be kind of perceived as as oppressive, but in some cases you're like, well, this is bad for you. This is objective. Being this weight is objectively bad for you. At least from your, I suppose from a strictly libertarian perspective, if you want to kill yourself, then that's your prerogative. but I should also probably, as a friend, let you know that that's what you're doing, right? Like that's, I mean, it's funny because I would say I was one of the people who didn't put a lot of faith in something like the BMI like 10 years ago, right? And I was like, well, I feel like I'm pretty healthy. I'm not sure I could, like, it seems like I'd have to lose a ton of weight. That doesn't even seem plausible. And then over the course of COVID, I did Noom, right? I lost 50 pounds. And I was like, oh, no, clearly I did have like 80 pounds to lose. Like, I'm not, I'm not a stick figure. I dropped
Yeah.
50 pounds from somewhere. But the funny thing is, so now one of my like workouts, right, is I'll throw on a weight vest and do various workouts. So I'll throw 25 pounds back on.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do it too long, my knees are killing me. And I'm like, well, I was
Yep.
carrying 50 pounds just all the time.
Yeah,
Like that
exactly.
can't have been good for them, right? Like, you know,
Exactly. That's exactly right. Like it's not that your body is, it's that your body is carrying, your frame is not meant to carry around that amount of extra stuff.
yeah,
But to your point about BMI though, BMI also told me that I was obese. So there's I mean,
yeah.
but
Take it as a ballpark, right? That's
their body fat percentage is much more it's much more indicative of
yeah,
health.
yeah. I agree.
Because it's your body composition really. It's the number on the scale matters less than your muscle to fat ratio
Yes.
essentially. Because you got like running backs in the NFL that would be morbidly obese under BMI, and it's like, okay, these are some of the best athletes in the world, and obviously they are not. So
Yeah. But that's probably more of a niche thing, right? I mean, if
it
you're
is.
a professional or semi-professional athlete, it's likely that the BMI is not going to serve you well. If you're just a dude, it's probably a decent ballpark.
I don't know. Most health people are like BMI's crap.
Yeah, fair.
But to your point though about you got 50 pounds to lose from somewhere, that's true. But I also bet that if you had done your body composition at the same time you did your BMI, your body composition would have told you also that you needed to shed some of the weight.
Yeah,
So both would have been right, broken clocks right twice a day. So
yeah.
and that's BMI I equate almost to, it's like a very like height to weight ratio does not, because people have different body types. It's like mesomorph, endomorph, and ectomorph or something like that. One is skinnier, one's like in the middle, and one's thicker for
Mhm.
for
Yeah,
lack of a better word.
sure.
And so anyone who's the thicker one, and I don't remember which ones, I assume mesomorph is in the middle, but for whoever's the thicker one is BMI doesn't work for them. BMI
Mhm.
is geared toward lean people, and that's fine.
Sure.
That like it was a flawed system and it's fine. But as people were learning, right, the exercise science field was not that advanced.
Mhm.
Like the amount that it's advanced in the last, I don't know, 10 years or so in terms of like plyos and mechanical exercises and time under tension and loading various things. Like
Mhm.
if your knee, like where does your knee hurt, for example?
Kind of on the front end, under the kneecap, right? Like down towards the foot.
Yeah. So for you and your knee pain, without seeing you move or anything, if you were to strengthen your quads
Mhm.
specifically, but not doing squats, time under tension, which means that like a leg extension machine,
Yeah,
but if you
sure.
were just to hold it there for 15 seconds at a time,
Okay.
doing something like that, right? But so that exercise science is just becoming more in the, like, I just know it. Like I'm
Yeah.
ingrained in it, but I haven't gone to school for it and I haven't done any of these things, but this information is now just out there.
Yeah.
Um and so it's cool to see the advances in it, but to go back to the original point of it being bad for people to work out, it's like it's just utter nonsense. It's complete nonsense.
Yeah.
Ask, like, if I don't work out, I don't feel great. Like this
Yep.
negotiation we're going through right now, I went to work out. I worked out this morning, but I did it again. I went to the parking garage and ran the stairs for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
right? Which is a lot generally. Like nobody's saying you got to do that, but
No.
go for a walk. Go do something is better than nothing
Yes.
always.
Yeah. I'd say both for physical and mental health, right? I
Yep.
mean, from a physical, I'm with you. If I go too many days without some form of exercise, and it doesn't have to be, I don't have to get to the gym, but riding the bikes with the kids, going on a big long hike, kind of anything like that. Well, like we talked about virtual reality, right? We've got an Oculus here,
Mhm.
doing one of those, fun beat dance games, just something to get moving. My body starts to hurt, but on top of that, I start to get anxious. Like I get
Yeah.
anxious, nervous energy that starts to build up if I can't let it out some way.
Oh, I remember why it made the rounds because you brought up mental health. New York Post tweeted that some study that exercise was, let me go find it. That exercise
Oh, that's right.
was
For
helpful
depression.
in battling chronic depression. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think, did you send me the screenshot? Let's
I think
see.
so.
Yeah, exercise is effective for battling chronic depression study, which is something that people who exercise, I saw another guy say, I've never seen anyone who made a physical transformation that did not also make a mental transformation.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone who transformed their body and became healthy physically that didn't also improve in other aspects of their life. And I
Yes.
felt that with me. Like when I came out of college, I was fine. I wasn't overweight, but I definitely wasn't lean at all. So I'm
Sure.
down 15 pounds since then, but I've maintained that it was like mid 180s and I'm low 170s now. And I've maintained that low 170s weight, but mentally I've been so much better the whole time. And
Yeah.
I have almost forgotten what the other part has been like. And part of that I think is I was eating way too many subs at the
Sure.
dining hall
Yeah.
and I've cut out a lot of processed carbs. And now when I eat the processed carbs, not only do I not feel great physically, but up here I don't feel sharp. I don't
Yeah.
feel sharp. And there's when people say they cut out carbs for their diet to lose weight, I don't actually think that it's the carbs because I still carb load for game days for soccer, but it's rice. It's the
Hmm.
sugars and the processed stuff and the breads that we eat that I think messes with people's bodies rather than
Yeah.
the fact that it's carbs. Because if you're burning the carbs themselves are not the problem. It's what's in the processed carbs that is bad. Like if
Hmm.
you're eating stuff that's in packaging, like Wonder Bread
Yeah. Sure.
or
Yeah.
but chips and these white breads and these like I don't like crackers and I don't like any of the other like sort of bread based
Yeah.
packaged products that last forever. It's not good. It's not good for you. Tortillas are fine. I feel like tortillas are fine. I don't know.
Hmm.
And also when I went massively high protein in terms of I eat mostly eggs and meat and vegetables and fruit basically.
Hmm.
Um I don't feel the need to overeat.
Yeah.
Whereas you can just sit with a bag of Doritos, a big bag, and just
Yeah.
eat the whole bag.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We've noticed that too. If we make, so we'll make homemade pasta sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a bowl of homemade pasta is filling,
Yeah.
and a bowl of like store-bought dried pasta, I mean, I could pound 3 or 4 of them
Yep.
without blinking, right? Like
Yeah.
there's something about, I don't know, like the processing of it that makes it not satiating, right? Whereas like if I eat one bowl of like something we made, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not only did I enjoy it, but I'm full. That's it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
I don't know if something's being lost in the processing, and so your body's going, hey, I still don't have enough magnesium or whatever. Right? Like, is there something missing that you're like, well, keep eating until you get enough potassium?
Yeah,
Or
I don't know exactly what it is, right? But what I do know is how it makes me feel and other people I know who pay attention to these things feel. And then the other thing that was like canola oils and things like that.
Mhm.
Apparently canola oil was made as a lubricant for factories.
Really?
Yeah, back in the day. I heard that on Rogan. I don't Rogan did the Jamie, make sure that's true. Like the thing when he says something ridiculous and then he says to make sure it's true after was
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Canola oil. I'll say dangers. Uh
See if we can get you a Jamie one day.
yeah, maybe. Or canola oil used to be, but it's also the vegetable oils generally. Like
Mhm.
olive oil is so much better. Canola oil factory. Yeah, 20 I don't know.
I just like to imagine if that's true, right? Who was the first person who brought it home and was like, you know what? Throw it in the pan.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's the people used to be used in factories. Yeah, canola oil has several industrial uses, including hydraulic fluid, biodiesel, cosmetic, engine oils. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm not crazy.
Look at that.
Um, I'm still on Google. Canola oil is my preferred oil, and it's on. When is this from? This is why it would be funny. Because it's on the Livestrong website. So everything that Lance Armstrong has to say, anyways. But yeah, so I'm right. So again, I haven't done all of the research into these oils, but what I do know is when I stopped using vegetable oil and started using right, and this is all anecdote, right? And I started doing a lot of these things at the same time. So I don't
Sure.
know which one it was. But what I do know is that I feel better.
Yeah.
So right, and this is still anecdote and it's still whatever, but the other thing, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but people will ask me what I eat.
Hmm.
I'll be you're in shape. What do you eat? And then I'll tell them. And then we'll go to dinner or whatever, and I'll get instead of fries as a side, I'll get vegetables. And they'll be like, you. Somebody called me today. So somebody called me a skinny fuck today for not wanting to eat a donut in a loving way, right? In a
Yeah.
loving way. But it's like you're gonna ask me what I eat, and then you're gonna make fun of me for eating healthy when you just asked what I eat to for no reason. I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, what was the, were you just curious? Like,
Well, I don't know. That's the thing because it's not. I don't know. At first it was difficult to not just eat whatever. I don't know. I've always eaten generally healthy, but I feel like making that adjustment because there are some foods like you get a bowl of pasta with Alfredo sauce and
mhm.
some chicken, and you're like, oh, it's so good. And then you just go from that to grilled chicken and broccoli, and you're like, oh, I hate it. But like for me, I'll eat the same thing every day. I don't really care. But I understand why that would be hard for some people. Like
Yeah.
a plate of cheese, like loaded cheese fries with bacon. It's like, oh, delicious, right?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, it's funny you said, because it's funny you say that, because the way, so what I did to lose weight was I did new,
Hmm.
right? That was the like, which is sort of a mixture of calorie counting and cognitive behavioral therapy all at once. Like,
Yeah,
it's, but like, it's, I don't know if you've seen some of their commercials. I was like, these are the best diet commercials I've ever seen. I've only seen like a couple of them, but it's just like somebody going through their day snacking, right? They're typically some version of this. It's somebody going through their whole day snacking, and like, and then it sort of just flashbacks to like them as a kid, and parents going, make sure to empty your plate. They're starving people and whatever, right? Like, and it's them getting that message. And then as an adult, eating all the way through and then going, like, looking at their phone, and it's like, I was conditioned from childhood to clear my plate even when I'm not hungry.
Yep.
Huh. Right. Like, it's like, but there's an aspect of like addiction and cognitive behavior that you're like, if you ask the person why are you doing that in the moment, they'd go, I don't know. Right. Like, why are you
Yeah.
hungry? Is that why you're eating that? No, I'm not hungry. Okay, are you enjoying the taste? No, not really.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a societal thing too. Like the reason that exists is not because parents wanted their kids to like be fat, but 100, even 100, like 200 years ago or whatever, you couldn't waste food because there's no
yes.
refrigeration, there's nowhere to store the food, there's nowhere to do any of these things. Maybe you're running low on food, and if your kid doesn't eat all his food and you don't have enough to get dinner because you like the hunt didn't go well, like all these things, right? So this is another
Yeah.
area of transition where where we're phasing out a lot of these old traditions that don't need to happen anymore. Like that, like uh fuck you, Corey. I'm saying like so much. Um he pointed it out to me and now it's very annoying. Um these traditions and things are not for no reason, a lot of them,
Hmm.
but they don't apply anymore. So yes,
Yes.
we were conditioned to do that, but the world is different than when our parents stepped into it.
Hmm.
Um Microwaves weren't a thing
Yes.
then. For example, when my dad was on here, he told us the story of when they first got microwaves when he blew the door off the hinges. Right. Microwaves are not in the grand scheme of human history. They are very, very new. And
Yes.
same with ovens and same with refrigerators and same with like here's another one that I can look up. When is the first refrigerated transport?
Oh yeah, sure.
Refrigerated. All right, we'll go. When was the first refrigerator made? 1834. So how long? Okay, so in 1913, refrigerators for home use were invented.
I mean, that's like what, 110 years ago?
Yep,
But like in the course of human history, that's a
there's
blink.
nothing. There's
Yeah.
nothing. And so in terms of our parents being told to clear their plates, just because it was invented in 1913, when was it accessible to everybody? 40s, 50s? I don't know. When did production stop because of the world wars for refrigerators and go into planes and weapons and stuff?
Yeah, it would have been
So
the 40s,
when
right? So,
well, both world wars because it was
oh,
invented
that's true.
the year before World War One. So how long before it went into actual production? So what, our parents didn't see a refrigerator until I don't know, maybe the first one was in the home in 1950, like
Yeah,
widely accessible.
right.
And so our parents didn't see a fridge until they were well past adults. So it's
Hmm.
only the second generation after that.
Right. That's
So
true.
so these things just take time. That doesn't mean that it's good for what it's been doing to all of us now. But historical perspective for so many of these things is, I feel like, widely important
Yeah,
because for exercise as well. No, nobody knew what exercise was. It was kind of nobody did exercise because so many jobs were just manual labor. And as
right.
the jobs moved to sedentary, then people realized if I just sit here all day and do nothing, that's probably not good. And so exercise science and biomechanics and all these things started to pop up, and now it's become right. There's different fat, the same as the food pyramid, although actually no, not the same as the food pyramid because that was a little bullshit. Um,
Yeah. No.
that was a willing lie, in my
Yeah.
opinion, or not even in my opinion. It was. It's been it's come out that that it was a will. Anyways,
Yeah. I mean,
is wrong.
if I remember correctly, the story was something like it was wheat, like it was wheat lobbyists who generated, like, who were directly related to the
Oh,
production of the food.
you know what it was? No, it was the sugar people paid off the FDA to say that it was the trans fats were all the problem. That's what it was. The sugar.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
that's what
So
it
then
was.
they created out of nothing, a pyramid, and then it is interesting because it ties into our other conversations, right? Of having like the dangers of having one source of information is when it's wrong. It's really wrong.
Yeah.
It's really wrong for everybody. As opposed to like now, right? If you're thinking about your nutrition, right, the information you're getting about nutrition or biomechanics or exercise, are you getting it from one source? Are you getting it from a university? Like, where are you getting your information from?
A few trusted people that run their own. So Kevin and Chris, shout out to them. Chris was on the podcast recently, but they run a gym specifically they do personal training, but mostly for soccer. So those two, and then I've got various other sources like people on Rogan that go on Rogan. But it's not one place. And it's also all of these people say, this is what I've experienced and found in my research, but figure out what works best for you. And so it's a compiling of information from various sources from people who have various backgrounds. For example, the diet that I might need is different than the diet that you might need because you're not going to go exert and burn 3,000 calories in a soccer game. That's a different nutritional makeup of diet that we both need.
Right.
So it's tailored in that way. So it's from a variety of people and a variety of sources and then compiled for my own needs. Because while I might have a soccer game, I don't need the same diet as a professional athlete who's training every single day and plus going to the gym and doing all these other things. I'm not doing that, but I'm not that far off. But that also doesn't mean that I need to be carb loading almost every day because I'm doing training and this and all these other things because it's not my job. So it's tailored based on what I've taken little bits from nutritionists that work for soccer teams that I follow on various social medias and things like that, and players. I've taken little bits from Chris and Kevin, little bits from people who are just general nutritionists, little bits from like the Rogan, I'll call it the Rogan community, his world of things. So from a lot of different places, and I compile it all kind of mentally and try different things and be like, this works well with me. This doesn't sit so well. This was pretty good. Maybe I should try this and this and see what's going on see if I feel better after this game or what level of electrolytes or what. I don't know. It's an ongoing experiment.
Yeah. No, and I think that's I would guess that's most people's experience, right? When they're kind of getting into it, is they'll either find a friend or a couple friends, and that'll be kind of their initiation, but that they're plucking from different sources and trying different things. I mean, it's interesting to see, like you said, everybody's sort of experimenting in real time and adapting the things that work for them and dropping the things that don't. I saw a post the other day that I thought was actually kind of an interesting point. It was because one of the things I struggle with is finding the time between, like one of the things when you've got kids is that your not work time becomes default kid time.
Yeah.
Right? So as opposed to sort of having default empty time to fill with, the gym or whatever you want to do. Right. And so you end up having to isolate things, like you have to basically take away kid time as opposed to having it as a default open slot in your calendar. But somebody had posted, look, if you're playing with the kids, you can run up and down a hill 20 times.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody stopping you. The kids will run up there with you. Right. Like, but
have them chase you.
Have them chase you, and then you'll all roll back down. Right. Like, but there's things that are going to work for, like if you're not going to get 2 hours in the gym, maybe that kind of hardcore training isn't what you need. But if you just need to move, there's plenty of opportunities. You just have to kind of look for them. But to have that mindset of, okay, I'm going to adopt this thing for me. Oh yeah, my kids love to ride bikes. Let's go on a bike ride.
Yeah.
Or they want to walk uptown to the park. Okay, well, let's walk uptown, but I'm going to throw my weight vest on while we walk. Just little things like that.
Yeah. Or you can do push-ups and they'll climb on your back or something, like whatever it is.
they'll atomic elbow you in the middle of a
Oh,
push-up too.
of course,
Just
of course.
FYI.
That's on hard difficulty then. But yeah, no, 100%. There's so many creative ways to do it, and you just have to do it, kind of.
I am fascinated by the idea that you would spend any time attacking it. Like just at any, I don't understand putting any effort towards stopping people from exercising or putting a bad taste in their mouth. Like I get the idea that some exercises are dangerous. Maybe that's a thing of like, hey, I don't know that you should do that. But that's a totally different thing than just sort of, I don't know, just throwing negative shade at
It's ignorance.
exercise.
It's ignorance for what it. None of the people that are attacking exercise.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to put money on it.
Do you think it's ignorance or is it excuse? Like, is it excuse generator?
Well, it's an ignorance of not knowing what it does to a person if you are consistent with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Fair. Yeah.
you go exercise for 6 months and then tell me how you feel afterwards, and then you still want to say it's bad for people.
Yeah.
I would bet almost everything I have that anyone who says that it's bad for you has not done it for any significant or consistent length of time. But that's the other thing. You don't go into the gym once and get a six pack. You gotta go 4 times a week for 6 months,
Yeah.
and then the results come.
Yeah.
So
But I'd say, I mean, I think you get the mental health benefits and even sort of the general endorphin benefit from way less than that. Right? You don't have to
yeah,
go
for
that hard.
sure, for sure. Or we'll say not even going to the gym, doing some form of exercise
Yeah.
for 20 minutes, 5 days a week for 3 months, something like that.
Yep.
On a walk, right? Even simple as that. Go do 10 squats, 10 bodyweight squats, and 5 push-ups, and go for a walk around the corner.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
And do that every day for 3 months, and you will feel better. I be willing to guarantee that the people who are attacking exercise have not partaken in any significant form because they wouldn't feel that way. I've never met a person who is active and is like, you know what? This is horrible for me. Let me stop.
Mm-hmm.
You see this as people age as well.
Yeah.
Who ages well. Like my dad is 50 whatever. He's super active
Yeah.
and he's still going, and he will be in shape and doing well for the next 10 to 15 years at least.
Yeah.
Right? And some 50-year-olds struggle to walk up a flight of stairs.
Yeah. My kid's karate teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Sensei Perez here in Medfield. But he is 62, I think
Mm-hmm.
he's celebrated. He's got a 20-inch vertical leap.
Yeah,
But
killing it.
that guy can move. Right? He could probably move better than me. Like, and that's what, right? Like what he's doing all day, every day is teaching karate.
Yeah. And it's not even half of it is not even about I'll say a majority is about in this moment your mental health and your physical health, but a large chunk of why I advocate so strongly for it is so you can just exist as a person when you're 65.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can know and you build up the knowledge base of, okay, if I'm not going to go into the gym, I can't go into the gym anymore and bench XYZ pounds or squat XYZ pounds because the bar is there, but I know how to do body weight squats and push-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And because the aging process is basically a deterioration of bone and muscle.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other things. But the easiest way or the best way to stave that off is to do resistance training. Resistance training being, in other words, weightlifting.
Yep.
Or so, like, there's a dude at my gym. There's multiple people at my gym that have to be older than 70.
Mm-hmm.
Have to be. and they
Yeah.
are doing all sorts of extra. There's one guy that's got a breathing machine, and he unhooks it so he can do the exercise so it doesn't get tangled up, does the exercise and hooks it back in and goes,
Damn.
and
That's
he's like 90. He's
yeah.
walking around with the all black shoes that are Velcro only,
Yeah.
and like the old Navy shirt from Vietnam or whatever, and the
Yeah.
hat, and he carries around his machine as he goes. And
Holy crap.
I was like, damn, dude, he must be 50, whatever. And there's another guy that he either had some sort of injury or something, but his leg is not moving properly. So what he does is he's got a walker, but he goes from the sauna into the hot tub, and that lets him loosen up and kind of walk around a little bit.
Mhm.
And I was just talking to him in the sauna one day. I was like, I don't remember how it came up, but he said to me, if I stop moving, I die, basically. And I was
Yeah.
like, you might not be wrong.
Right. Well, right.
I hope that's not true, but he knows, though. That's the point. What I'm getting at is, even people at that age, when they move around, it prolongs your life in a way that you can be around for your family and your friends more, and
Mhm.
experience more things, and just
Yeah.
exist better. Like, no one, if you ask anyone if they wish that they had more time with a parent or a grandparent, unless they had a horrendous relationship for whatever
Sure.
reason, right? Everyone's going to say yes.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't a great relationship, after that person dies, you'd be like, oh, it would have been nice to have another year with them.
Yeah.
Everyone says that.
Yeah.
It's not even for you have to. And the other thing, if you are more healthy as your own individual, like if I'm 50 and I can't walk anywhere and can't play with my kids or whatever,
Mhm. Yeah.
what use? I'm useless.
Yeah.
What am I doing? How I can't help anyone. People have to help me, and me as a individual, I'm much too stubborn to have that be the case. But
Well,
there's so many more reasons than just being selfish and, oh, I'm jacked now and I look great. There's so many more reasons than that to do
yeah.
it.
Well, even think of like, I mean, like you said, even if you're just doing body weight work, right, and you're moving, I mean, it may just from a rational perspective, right? I mean, your life goal here, like the general life plan, right, is you know, it, have a family, don't have a family, whichever way, but you end up getting into your career, right? You ascend the ladder into your 30s and 40s, right? And then right around 40s to 50s, you hit like money making peak, right? You make a bunch of money to the point that you can then retire, and then what? Right?
I
Like
want
in
to
theory.
enjoy that shit, man.
Right, exactly. Right? Like it's not like my goal was to work long enough that I could die. Like, right, like my goal is to hit 65 and go, I'm out. I'm going to Europe. We're going to go backpacking, right? Like, there's some
Yeah.
stuff I want to see. I'm going to go see the things. Maybe my kids will have kids by then. I'm going to go spend time with the grandkids. I'm going to go play with them. Right? Like, I'm going to do whatever I want. But that all is contingent on me being able to walk
Yeah.
or, get on an airplane or move around without, collapsing just from kind of moving around.
Bingo. Yep, that's it, man. That's it. There's so many reasons to do it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand those people. I don't really want to understand those people that attack fitness and being healthy. I don't want to associate with those people. I don't want to know. I don't want to know
Yeah.
if, because there is, I'm so sure. Like,
Right.
uh,
Yeah. Well,
I,
it's funny, like coming out in 2023 in the age of like misinformation, right?
yeah.
That word's thrown around all the time. I'm like, that's misinformation right there. That
Yeah, totally is. It totally is, man. I don't know. Well, feel like actually this was a good one. It's a bit shorter, but I think we wrapped it up nicely.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, sounds good. Don't hate us in the comments. If you want to comment, you can comment. That's fine. All right. Wait, is your book still selling on Amazon?
Yeah, it's still there. If anybody is looking for needs information about clinical trials, you've got a loved one who's entering one, you want sort of a basic primer on it. It's
Yeah.
what the heck is a clinical trial and where do I find one? It's on Amazon. It's like $3.
Or if you want any context to what RFK is saying, go get it.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
And we will not talk about that online because, well, I don't need to say why.
Not until the presidential debates.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there aren't any debates, so I guess.
All right, we're gonna get ourselves in trouble. Peace.
Bye.